So your job, again, if you're here representing a married household, is to do that yourself. Do that yourself. That's it, because that's all you can control in the first place.
Amen.
So that's the number one thing you want to remember. You want to do this yourself. That's why I said we have to agree from this point on to be about truth, to be about honesty. Because what breaks that trust? Dishonesty. When you give your word on something and you don't do it, they ain't gonna worry about it. It's a little thing. I just said I was going to do this. I told her I was going to go to the store and pick up something, and I forgot I got busy. She ain't going to worry about it. Yeah, she worried about it. When you say that to him, yeah, I was going to come home and get you a little something, and then I got to do this. It matters. It might seem small, but it matters a lot. Because little by little, the more instances those little things happen, the less confidence that person is going to have in. And then they stop believing that you have their best interests in your heart. So that takes away from the very beginning of what I said, that whole reminder of I'm here for you. I'm here to make sure that your dreams come true, and you're here to make sure my dreams come true. So together, if we're doing that for each other, we're going to get the way we want to get. But like I said, that's why it's important to be, number one, a person of your word. And I'm talking small things and big things. If you're not going to do it, it might hurt somebody's feelings a little bit, but you know what? Nah, I'm not going to do that. Because at least they can be confident in what you're saying is true. You know, sometimes that means that you're going to be the bad guy in the household sometimes. But that's okay. The reason being is because that confidence in what you're saying to be true is there. Your words always will be believed as true. And let me tell you, 20, 30 years of doing that the wrong way it's hard to get back. It's hard to get back. 5 years of doing it the wrong way, it's hard to get back. Because we're humans, we have memories. You know, we can try to get over stuff, but we don't just forget. We know. Especially when it comes to something that we hold so dearly, like our finances. We remember when you bounced that check. Yeah, nah, I ain't forget. Nah, I remember that. I remember when I went and looked at my account and expected 1,000, it was only 800, and you ain't telling me you was gonna spend that money? We don't forget stuff like that. We may try to get over it and move forward, but we don't forget it. And that stuff piles up. So what you have to do, despite your spouse or anybody else, what you have to do is promise to not do that. Promise yourself that I'm going to be straightforward with everything when it comes to financial matters. Even if that does not agree 100% with what my spouse says, at least I'm honest. Because then they don't have to guess. Then we don't have to lose that confidence, and then they won't believe as much that you are deceiving them. You know, which takes away from what I said in the beginning, that belief that gets most marriages going. Oh, I'm gonna build this life with that person. We're gonna do this together. My dreams are gonna be fulfilled. His dreams are gonna be fulfilled. It's all gonna be good. But a lot of words that don't turn into reality take away from that confidence that we first have when we date and when we're in the very beginning of our relationships. So definitely keep that in mind. And this is one thing I want you to do if you're married or if you plan on getting married. This is something that I would recommend for anyone. And that's simply at least twice a year, you need to do one thing. That one thing is you need to have a dinner conversation about dreams and aspirations. That's it. Not about how we're going to pay this. Not about, you know, it's going to be plenty of conversations with that. You know, how we handle the budgeting. Let's invest in this. No. At this conversation, none of that's included. The only thing that's going to happen in this conversation is one person is going to speak uninterrupted about how their life is going, and also about what they want their life to be. And you're going to listen. And then your turn is going to come, and you're going to do the same thing in return. And what that will do for you, and I guarantee you this, what that will do for you, whether your mate says it or not, that reinforces that very beginning feeling that you got married for, that very thing, that confidence that I was speaking about. That brings back to, you know what, through all this madness, that person sat back and listened to what I really want in life, and listened and took it in. So a couple things happen. There are rules around this whole conversation and this dinner. Number one, this cannot take place at home at the kitchen table. No, no. This does not take place in the home. Why? Too many emotions are tied into your home. There's too much history right there. The home could be the problem itself. You got to get out the house. You know, so definitely you don't have this conversation at home. I'm telling you, it can lead to bad things. If you think somebody's just going to forget to leave something out, it's hard when the light ain't on and you're trying to talk about this at home. It's difficult. So you don't do this at home. The number two reason, you're not just not going to do this at home, you're not going to do this at Buffalo Wild Wings either. You got to go to the nicest restaurant that you can afford at that moment. I don't care if it takes you 6 months to save for it. You need to go somewhere that's candlelit, romantic, and have this conversation. Why? Because this conversation needs to have something good tied to it. So that reminder always makes that person feel good. It's like, yeah, when I think about talking about life and money and stuff like that, not so much the small details, but overall, it's tied to a good memory. It's tied to something that's not in our current environment. That's tied to, I was out with my boo. We was in front of dinner and just sharing with each other about our feelings about life. We call it a date night, we call it whatever. Another rule during this conversation that's taking place is there will be no criticism. No criticism. So even if that person's aspirations sound crazy, you gotta let them sound crazy. You can't sit there and judge them because you're not there to judge. That's not what this conversation is about, because guess what? In the very beginning, we weren't very judgmental when it came to those things. We just like to hear, oh, that's what you, oh, that's so nice. We were so humble and so tender-hearted. You know, we didn't just say, well, that's crazy. What you do now? Because we wanted to impress that person. We wanted to be with that person. Well, guess what? You got to maintain that. That's something that you have to regularly do on a regular basis. For this emphasis, every 6 months at least. At least. Now, you don't want to do it too much because then it's kind of corny. It loses its effect. If you just constantly doing it, then it's not special. The other rule in regards to this cannot happen on a holiday, an anniversary, a birthday, anything that has a special date. No, this has to have its own date. Because if you try to put that on, combine it with an anniversary, it's not the same. This is something that needs to stand apart by itself. And why is it important? Again, financial disputes and these type of things, lifestyle dreams, not believing in your partner, is causing divorce. It's causing a lot more stress than maybe that needs to be there. Because remember, as we came together with so many different beliefs about money that it's going to take a long time to combine that dream. In between that time, you need a lot of reinforcement. This is your reinforcement, because this was the beginning of your relationship in the first place. It was that you want to be this in life, you go ahead, you can do it. That I got your back stuff, that faith in that person. But of course, like I said, remember, life takes away from that. So that's why you get back to that. The other part about that conversation, that date night, like I said, every 6 months. Another part of it, this will not be about kids if you have kids. No. This will not be about the kids and them you need to pay for their bills in college. No. This has nothing to do with kids. This has to do with husband, wife. That's it. The kids are not included on this conversation. The babysitter got them. Whoever take care of the kids, if they take care of themselves, they take care of themselves. But no, kids will not be a part of this conversation. We're going to get the kids in a minute, because they can be one of the biggest reasons that we get off this path, which we originally set together as a couple, of this is the lifestyle I want to build. This is the dreams that I have. It's a reason for that. You know, kids are a big reason for that, but we'll get back to that later. So at this dinner, like I said, there's none of that. So remember those rules. Number one, that you have to do this at least twice a year, every 6 months. The reason it's that frequent, because we don't stay the same as people. We change. Oftentimes, if we don't do this enough, we assume that we know that person's aspiration and dreams, but we change. After certain experiences, we might not want to do the same career. We might have another vision of life. So you have to constantly reinforce that. At least, now if you're changing every 3 months, you got a problem. I mean, you might need some counseling on another level, but Every 6 months, that's okay. It's a tune-up. You know, I'm just checking to see what's going on with you. Getting us outside of the kids, outside of our work. What's going on with you? How are you feeling, and what are your aspirations in life? Do you feel like we're still getting there? You know, no. If they say no, so be it. But at least you know what they're talking about. So it's important to that. Important to be totally honest. It's important to, again, not do this on a holiday or a date that's already set for a special day. It has to be its own date. Number 4, you have to leave the house. It cannot be at the house. It cannot be at Buffalo Wild Wings in some average place. No, this needs to be a significant night. It needs to be very significant. Because again, when that person remembers this moment, when things go wrong, that's the moment people have to hang on to. Right. That's what's missing in a lot of marriages today. That reinforcement is missing. And the lack of that reinforcement is causing these buildups, which you get sometimes to a point of no return. I'm not saying you get divorced, but you may never even look at that person again as somebody that really has your dreams in their heart. You might say, we just cohabitate, or we making it. But I'm gonna go ahead and try to do my dreams. He's gonna have to try to do these dreams or whatever, but you have to try to avoid that. Now what's good is, and this is the thing, even if you're at that point, implementing this can still get you back. It can still bring you back to where you need to be. But you have to stick to the rules. If you bypass the rules, you try to shortcut it, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, because if you do it just, you know, it's our anniversary, I'll combine it. Nope, don't count. Don't count. If you give your word doing something and you don't do it, no, don't count. If you criticize that person while they explain their dreams, nope, not gonna work. Even if they sound crazy, nope, can't do it. You gotta sit there and listen. You gotta sit there and listen. Even if you say, well, this sucker talking about these aspirations, but he wasting our money. He's sitting over here playing lotto, doing this, doing that. What are you talking about? Nope, can't bring it up. Can't bring it up. Go ahead.
So when is it a good time to discuss this information that you learned? Like you sit, you listen uninterrupted, and then that person, I come out and I say, you know, all of my aspirations and goals.
Right.
Where do you
see, it's not a middle ground. I'm gonna tell you what you do at the end of that conversation. I'm explaining. That's what I'm getting to. I'm glad you went there. Okay. The end of this conversation, that person explains and you explain. Now you as a spouse just have to tell that person, I hear you, and I understand what you're saying, and just trust that everything I do, I'm trying my best to get you what you want and me what I want. That's it. That's the answer. It's no, because if you try to mix too much in between that, criticism won't come out. You can't do it. You can't try to play this role of, I'm gonna walk this line and, all right, we're gonna talk about each other's dream. Nope, because guess what's gonna come out, my opinion? Mm-hmm. It's gonna come out. You can't, it's something you can avoid. So that's why you say, just like when you were dating, guess what? There wasn't a bunch of opinions in it. No, it was like, oh, you want to be an attorney? You go, girl. Go ahead. You can do it. Right. There wouldn't know, but you know, you're going to have to go to school. How you going to pay for being an attorney? You got to go for 10 years. It's all that knowledge that messes it all up. No, don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. You have plenty of in-between time where you're going to have that conversation. Remember, I'm not saying that you don't talk about finances any other time. I'm just talking about a moment that should be included at least twice a year. At least twice a year. So remember that, like I said, and I'm glad you brought that up. That last thing that you want your mate to understand when you